Welcome to Crimson Guitars and welcome to a weekend workshop video. This is where I look at all sorts of bits of kit, generally tools, tool related, guitar building related if at all possible. And today is a look back at something that featured in an unboxing video about 6 months ago or so, and that is the Shapton Whetstones. And at the same time I'm going to be unboxing, as it were, or at least using for the first time, a new Shapton diamond stone, which is what they sell to level their Whetstones, because all Whetstones require leveling at some point. If you don't have a flat stone, you are not going to get the perfect edge on whatever you are working on. Now, I waxed lyrical about the Shapton stones when I first got them. They last much longer. They cut fast, much faster than oil stones, and very well. They don't wear away as much. Whereas the king stones and ice bear, just general Whetstones, you have to flatten those every single time you use them. Otherwise, they will have an appreciable dip because they're so soft, and essentially they wear away. Exposing fresh grit with which to cut and level your tool. Whereas these, the Shapton Glass series, it's more of a ceramic man-made thing rather than just stone, and it is much more hard wearing. Now, I found that I don't really need to level mine all that often. Every 3 or 4 goes, every 3 or 4 goes, sometimes every 2 or 3, depending on what I'm actually working on. But it's not significant, nowhere near as much work as before. And people have been asking me if I was right back then. And the fact that I've been collecting Whetstones for years. I've got a box of the ice and king and all of those things. Even Norton Whetstones. I've got, they're in a box and I haven't actually even seen them in 6 months. My Shapton stones live in this treasure chest. I carry the key on my person, and nobody else is allowed to touch them or even go anywhere near it. In fact, even I'm not able to get in, there we go, to the box. There we go. So, now I've got the Shapton, the fine, I want to say box set. As you can see, I use them a lot. It's 50408, it's is the number on this at least. It's the Shapton Glass Stone set. And these are what I use all the time. And then I also have an ultrafine, which came separately. That's the 16,000 grit. And I don't really use that all too often. But now, actually, it must be said before we get too far into this, these stones were given to me because I love sharpening so much and tools and all that. They were given to me by the fine folks at Nowaki. I think it's nowaki.com. There's a link below. And they wanted to see whether they lived up to the hype, basically. And if you use the coupon code CRIMSON at checkout with Nowaki, you get 10% off anything from Nowaki. Now, I'm not biased in the slightest. If they were crap, I'd say they're crap. They are, well, it's anything I use now, and I do a lot of sharpening. I've got the 500, 2000, 8000, and then the 16,000. Frankly, the 16,000 is a bit overkill for what we're doing. I would much rather just use a strop of sorts at that level. And you can see the difference, actually. There's my 500. Most of my tools don't need that much work. The 2000 is the one I use the most, and then the 8000 is is also as used. But the 16,000, it just doesn't get seen that much. Now for the fun bit. Niwaki have sent me the glass diamond lapping plate. I've been using a little trend diamond stone to level these, and it works okay, except for the fact that it sucks. You put two perfectly flat surfaces together, and they just hold. Suction happens. Whereas this is a different story. Okay, we're going to have a close-up now, and I'm going to open this up and see how we do it. And again, you can see the varying levels of use here. Now, best thing about these, apart from the way they work so well, is that the holder, they all come in here. These are rubber. The holder is also a stand to use it. They use, well, go back and watch the original video. I really did talk about these stones at length. But now, I know I'm going to keep this box because the boxes are so cool. So let's be careful. Oh, crinkly. Now, this is not inexpensive, but I sincerely hope it is worth the hype. I bet this is in Japanese again. Yeah, I just love that. Yeah. So, diamond glass stone. Okay, that actually surprises me. So, I really wasn't expecting this. It comes with its own rubberized stand, so it matches the stand for the stones, but it is actually on the glass back as well, like the stones. So 54 to 45 micron, because diamond is difficult. 270 to 325 mesh, and that's the product code. So now okay, now I've used these stones quite extensively over the last couple of days preparing for this giant guitar build. I'm trying to build a guitar in 12 hours, and that's going to be filmed in a couple of days, and I've been doing a lot of sharpening. So I want to see how much leveling I have to do on my stones. Now, when you're using a diamond stone to sharpen tools, which this isn't for, you lubricate it with window cleaner or various different things like that. If you use water, you have to make sure it's absolutely dry afterwards, because you don't want to make it all rust and nasty. And we're going to use a little bit of water here. And so that there is my 500 grit. And yeah, let's. And there we go, there's absolutely zero binding. Whatsoever. So yeah, you can see taking away. Oh, I need to find some tissue. There we go. You can see how much I've done the last couple of days. What's that? Now, the thing about diamond stones is when they first come, depending on the quality, but they tend to be a little bit coarser, and basically with use you knock down the first 3 or 4 layers of diamonds, knock down the ones that are sticking their heads up, and go to a finer grit, and it tends to stay at that fine grit. Now, I have a friend who has this stone. I say friend, one of the luthiers that works here has been using his for 6 or 7 months, and it's still going absolutely strong. He says he hasn't even noticed a difference in how it cuts. So there we go. Now, frankly, I shouldn't have left it so long in between flattening. The other option, and my luthier who uses these does it this way, is to put the stone in its holder, flip the diamond stone, and go like this. Oh, that does feel better. And yes, he says that this is a faster way of doing it. It has lifted it. When you filled the cavities, you need to just put a little bit of pressure there. I didn't realize I'd done quite so much sharpening this last couple of days. That's every single chisel and plane. I should have leveled this beforehand. Essentially, I have sharpened something like 12 planes and 15 or 20 different chisels and knives and things. And yeah, as a result, this Shapton stone did need a fairly substantial leveling, which says to me that I needed to do it about halfway through that big batch, to be honest. Yeah, and here we're nearly there, a little bit more, but this is doing it really quickly. And the initial impressions are excellent. Now, the Shapton stones are really thin, and people have been wondering just how long they'll last. The original offering, which is still available actually, are much thicker. There's much more material on them. But yeah, we're 6 months in, and there's basically no difference in how thick it is. I've probably taken off 1/4 of a mil, if that, of the thickness of this stone. These are going to last me, with the sheer massive amount of work that I do, these are going to last me for, I would say, at least a decade. Yeah, I'm not sure which. I think I prefer this method. I think that works well. I can't say anything else. I've got some stones to level now. Here we go. So, well, there is one other thing to consider. As you level a stone, the coarseness of the diamond stone has an effect on the coarseness of your water stone as you go. Now, Tom, one of the luthiers here, he uses king stones, ice bear stones, and he will level them at every single time he uses it, even if he uses it for just touching up, the barest touching up of a chisel or something. every single time he levels it, and he's got two 1200 grit stones, and he uses them to level each other, basically. And that means that you're using a 1200 grit stone to level a 1200 grit stone so it stays at 1200 grit, as opposed to using an 800 grit or 400 grit. I have ceramic impregnated stones for leveling ice bear stones, and it's much coarser than the fine stones. And you'll find that if you're using on your king stone, your finest stone, you use the ceramic impregnated one, your king stone is not as shiny. It doesn't get as good a result. Now, in this case, what I would suggest is you take your 500 and 2000, for example, use the diamond stone, and then rub those two together, so at least it's closer together. I would just double check though what a 54 to 45 micron relates to. So for example, that might be as coarse as the 500, so you don't need to worry about that. However, you level your 2000 grit, rub the 2000 and the 4000 together, and the 4000 and the 16,000, etc., just to on the finer stones, make it slightly finer than is left by the diamond stone. I don't know if that's just me being anal. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's what crosses my mind. Now, well, I mean, the evidence is here. Shapton are a phenomenal company. They've sort of revolutionized sharpening stones. There are other brands available who do make similar things, but you become a market leader by being the best, or by paying a lot of people a heck of a lot of money. And I think these are just the best. Now, well, actually, that's the challenge. Do you know what? We're going to do, I know of at least one other brand of stones that are similar to these that have apparently got a similar performance. I'm going to see if I can get my hands on some of those, and I'm going to do a head-to-head and vote. If you know of other stones like these, other brands, let me know. And we'll see. That should be a fun video. I love playing with toys and tools and sharpening things. Remember, these stones came from Milwaukee, and if you use the coupon code Crimson, you get 10% off anything in the Shapton range, which is an excellent deal. And yeah, Jake at Milwaukee is a phenomenal chap. So yeah, I would appreciate it if you would support them as they've supported us with these. If you have experience with Shaptons, please put it in the comments below. If you have experience with other stones that you prefer, same thing, put it in the comments below. And this is all about learning and growing and yeah, getting better at what we do. Thank you for watching. Have an excellent weekend. Don't forget to check out our other videos. The build a guitar in 12 hours thing is going to be happening very soon. Next weekend, in fact, if you're watching this on the Saturday that this goes live, in 1 week's time, 12 hours and a guitar gets built. But anyway, I will be back soon. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. I can't go anywhere. I've got stones to level.